Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. The Cosmic Purusha, decoding of Aitreya Upanishads. My mission, the impeccable wisdom, knowing which everything is fully known. My greatest discovery, Divyank, the divine design of nature with which the perfect objects are designed and created. Cosmic Purusha, the divine human being. There is a general perception that there was spontaneous creation of the divine human being. Let me not go into details of this. Let's leave it as that. Okay, this is one perception. But Akhand Sutra has got a slightly different perception. We are the greatest creation of divine nature is one, which is acceptable to others too. We are microcosmic representation of the macrocosmic universe, our divine nature is also acceptable. But I'm sure quite a few people do agree that human beings have evolved from minerals, plants, and animals. As a result, we can experience everything within the human body. This theory of evolution is also pretty acceptable. So I think from that point, let's see whether Aitreya Upanishad is talking about spontaneous creation or something else. The reason why I'm talking about Cosmic Purusha, Aitreya Upanishad, is it has been given as an example for spontaneous creation of the human being is what is the central theme of Aitreya Upanishads. I brought this only from that point of view. But let's understand what Aitreya Upanishad section 1 of the first chapter says step by step. First thing, in the beginning there was self alone. I think this is also something which Vedas also talk about it. Upanishads also talk about it. There was self alone. But it's also said, Vedas say it was darkness. Upanishads say it was in dead matter. Anyway, I have explained that it was inert matter, could be argon 40, neon 21 or helium 4, which was self, which was there, and now from there the whole thing created. The first thing which created out of that was the universe. Then when it settled on to self again, the self thought of creating the worlds from the energy which it had created. Before the creation, neon 21, neon 22, light and Panchbhutas, and the world was created. And then after the world was created, the world of atoms and water was created. I think I've explained that concept also quite clearly, how from neon 21 to light it came down to hydrogen. And then from hydrogen plus oxygen came water, and that formation and all the elements which are created from atom, hydrogen to the other atoms, were there in the universe along with the elements, molecules and compounds, and they all fell down with the water as a rain, and that is what Lord Indra all about. Now from that point, it's very clear everything was in the universe, atoms to molecules to this, and water brought everything down to the earth and put everything flowed into the ocean. I think that sequence has already been created very well. After that particular stage, the self thought, let's create the guardians from the water. Again, says human beings have evolved from water, nothing else. And we also, as a scientist, we know there is no life without water. The seat of life is water. And water is the most efficient solvent of the world. And I think we have already explained that quite clearly. So we can accept that guardians were created from water, and water is the most essential, and it is Amrit by and large. Then go to the next stage. Then self created divinities of elements. That means hydrogen, different elements, Panchbhutas, were created, and then things thereafter. As I've spoken about 10 stages. So then different bhutas is talking about. The mouth for speech and fire is one bhuta. Nostril for breath, smell and earth is second bhuta. Eyes for sight and sun, light, third bhuta. ears for hearing and space, Akashbhuta, skin for touch, air element, Vayubhuta. These 5 elements have been very well accepted. Then Upanishad talks about 3 more elements which are important for the further. There is a heart for the mind, and mind is associated with the moon. Very interesting. That heart is affected by the mind, and mind is with. Fluctuation of the moon can affect your mind as well as heart, and I think the science has also accepted how heart gets easily influenced by fluctuating mind. Next element which has been brought in is in the navel and navi. For out breath, that means death. That death takes place from navi, not anywhere else. It's also a very interesting concept which we will explore as we go. One more element is added, the generative organs for water, from water and thereafter. Now, procreation is required. For procreation, water is required, semen is required, or maybe ovum is required, and that sequence is very clear. First section is talking about only different atom elements and their association with probably this. These are all created in the cosmic consciousness. I'm sure it's very clear. Section 1 is talking about only elements independent for guardians, which has been created from water to these elements. I'm sure it's very, very clear from that point of view. Let's go to the second section. Talks about the created divinities fell into the ocean. In other words, the Cosmic Purusha which was created, was formed, was put into ocean. Fell into ocean or put into ocean. And these were subjected to hunger. See, in the Cosmic Purusha was subject to hunger. And food and water were created for the divinities are different, those 10 elements for the whole thing. Then divinities are asked to catch the food. I'm sure now we are talking about sensory organs through which these elements can be caught. So, ground from elements to sense organs of the guardian are the Cosmic Purusha. The fire becoming speech entered the mouth. So fire entered into in the speech through the mouth into the guardian. Air becoming breath entered the nostril to the guardian. Sun becoming sight entered the eyes and to the Cosmic Purusha. Space becoming hearing entered the ears to the Cosmic Purusha. The plant trees becoming hair entered the skin to nervous system. The moon becoming the mind entered the heart and became a part of Cosmic Purusha. Death becoming the out breath entered the navel. So if the person had to die, has to go through, breath has to, out breath or apana, it has to go out. After that, water becoming semen or ovum enter the generative organs of the Cosmic Purusha. So from first section, elements is association with different elements, and then Cosmic Purusha and sense organs with which those perception could be got. The two things are very, very clear. I'm sure nobody would have any doubt about the first section is talking about creativity of divinities, then Cosmic Purusha and the sense organs within the Cosmic Purusha, how those divinities or those elements could be perceived and stored and made connected part of the Purusha. Right up to this, somewhere is like creation of Cosmic Purusha in the ocean water. Okay, so next proceed to the section. Section 3, as I've written on top, inability to get food. So naturally, Purusha was subject to hunger and thirst, because without food, nutrition and water, you cannot survive. So whichever Purusha was created, which was there in the ocean at that particular stage, from this Upanishad was subject to hunger and thirst, and that food and water was provided for this particular Purusha. Now, let's see what exactly the food they're talking about, how the food was received by the guardian. Mouth and speech could not grasp the food. Whatever food was given to this particular guardian, Cosmic Purusha, could not be received through the mouth and speech at all. Nose and breath could not grasp the food. Normally, whatever we eat through the mouth. Whatever we breathe through the nose. Oxygen is required, food is required. And what we see is seen by the eyes and we can perceive inside. But the food which was created, given it to this Cosmic Purusha, the eyes and sight could not grasp that food. Surprising. Mouth cannot, nose cannot, eyes cannot, ears and hearing could not grasp the food, skin, hair, touch could not grasp the food. Heart and mind could not grasp the food. Generative organs could also not grasp the food. That means all these organs are special organs which were created for receiving the food were not able to receive the food. That means whatever food was given for this particular Cosmic Purusha could not be received by any other things. Then how did the Cosmic Purusha survive? Because without food and water and air and other things you can't survive. You will die. And then mystery is revealed in a very cryptic form. Then the out-breath Apana, the word has been very clearly written there, Apana, could grasp the food. Amazing, surprising. The area which is meant for death or out-breath or expelling things out of the body is actually used to grasp the food, not anything else. Mouth is not able to do, eyes are not able to do, ears are not able to do, skin is not able to do, nothing is able, heart is not able to do, generative organs are not able to do. But the one which is used for throwing out is able to grasp. This has been a mystery throughout. Even Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan in his book Upanishads and many other writers have said this particular line has never been understood. And I'm glad I'm going to explain or decode this particular thing and prove that what a beautiful way of Aitreya Upanishad has put across about the Cosmic Purusha. We'll go a little later. There's one more line in the end, 11th line in the section 3 says, only after that food could be got by the Purusha, Cosmic Purusha, self could enter the body through the head. See, look at the sequence. First creation put into this, then elements are created, given it to sense organs to receive it. They are not able to do. And then after able to receive and survive to a particular stage, after a particular stage, only the self, the Atma, enters into the body through the head. This is also been mystery. So let's now come to decode that mystery in a sequence. Decoding ocean or Vaikuntha. This particular picture, everybody is aware. Now, this picture is what Aitreya Upanishad is talking about, ocean. And this is Cosmic Purusha, and that Cosmic Purusha is Vishnu. And is getting its nutrition from lotus, from Navi, Brahma, first stage of creation. Very interesting, but little difficult for a common person to understand or accept that this is talking about the ocean, Vaikuntha and Cosmic Purusha. But anyway, let's go. Now look at this particular picture. Is 22 weeks fetus. And the navel of the fetus is connected to umbilical cord to the placenta of the mother's uterus. And the fetus is floating in amniotic fluid. So I mean that particular guardian which was created is the growing fetus, which is in amniotic fluid, which is actually referred to as an ocean, And food required for this growing fetus cannot be received through the mouth, the eyes, nose, oxygen, not through oxygen, nothing at all. All the requirement of the growing fetus comes through the umbilical cord, which is primarily also used to expel all the things out. Don't you think it's so interesting that mystery is getting decoded now? Food is also through Apana prana and expulsion is also through prana, and that is what his umbilical cord is all about. Amazing. That means Aitreya Upanishad is talking about not a spontaneous creation of the growing fetus in the mother's womb, and how from zygote form, that means ovum and sperm getting together, then multiplication, and then how it gets embedded in uterus, first start developing, and only after that amniotic fluid is formed, and then how things happen. If you look at medical science and sequence of before ovum, sperm, this and trigeminal layer, and then developing right up to 22 weeks, it's very clear that description and this description is almost identical. So Aitreya Upanishad is talking about development of growing fetus in the mother's womb, not as spontaneous at all. Let me now explain how Apana prana are different pranas actually work. There are Panch pranas, 5 pranas, different thing. Vayana prana is what you can find all around the body, through which energy, biomagnetic field or aura works through. You can see. Udana prana is the one which takes the energy to the brain. Prana is the energy of oxygen around the chest and lungs and heart or the mind. Samana prana is the energy which helps in digestion of the food which is required for glucose, amino acids, fatty acids, water and other nutrients required for a developing fetus, or for human beings also to creation, sustenance and dissolution of the human being. But Apana prana, as you see right now, right at the bottom, is the one which is responsible for excretion, whether it is fecal matter, whether urine, menstruation or otherwise. All things are actually expelled through Apana prana only, and that is associated with maybe navel in the case of the fetus, and we also somewhere controlled with the navel alone. So I think here things are becoming very clear. Apana prana is one which is used for throwing. It's just to prove that Apana prana is that, and that is what is particular Upanishad is talking. So now at the end of it, I can only sum it up. As I told you in the beginning, before the creation there was darkness, inert matter, light, then all the elements were created and they were in the universe, and with the water, the rain through Indra's help came down to the earth, and then all fell into the ocean, and life started from ocean thereafter. And elements started rising from ocean, and that is what I have talked about in Sagar Manthan, the churning of ocean, how different elements came, and talked about periodic table and things like that. Now from that point of view, what was required for the human body, the requirements came from that ocean, and after that development. Now we also know very well all biological life started in ocean, warm waters of oceans only. All the requirement of the unicellular organisms came from ocean, and all the products were expelled into ocean. But when multicellular organisms were evolved, we could not go to the ocean, so then ocean was brought into the human body in the form of extracellular fluid. And amniotic fluid is also extracellular fluid of the same nature, which concentration is almost identical with the ocean water's concentration. Now you can see ancient Indian spirituality and modern science coming closer. Now you can see in the light of modern sciences, particularly medical education and we can now bridge the gap and explain some of the difficult things of Upanishads and Vedas which have never been decoded. Now we will decode all the cryptic information for the benefit of clarity and spiritual science wisdom, which we can apply day to day to make ourselves healthy, wealthy, wise, and happy, and thereby create a new series of knowledge which is impeccable wisdom and which doesn't have to be unlearned or relearned. And I think so far, so good. Next, we will go on to the creation or procreation thereafter. Here, let me also bring another element which was the last, the entry of the human soul into that. As I told, right up to 21 weeks, the growth is taking place. All the requirement which is spoken was 21. Only after 22nd week, soul can enter through opening in the head, what the Upanishad is talking about. And I would relate that to the anterior fontanelle. As you can see in the picture of the skull, anterior fontanelle is almost like a triangular quadrillion portion right in the front. Through that it enters and then does. Other thing which I have spoken about, full brain development also takes 21 years. And it's interesting, the cranial sutures start closing only after 22 weeks. And forensic science says it very clear. To define the age of the dead body, if the sutures are not closed, it should be less than 24 years. If it is closed, it should be more than 24. I think this is also now science and spirituality coming closer. From that point of view, I think this Upanishad is throwing so much light for us to unfold as we proceed. And I'm glad that I've been able to decode that and put it in a fairly understandable scientific approach. And I think with the more and more spiritual scientists coming up, they'll be able to throw more light in due course. And I think we can create a real great work of spiritual science, which we don't have to unlearn at all. With that, I would say thank you very much. It has been a great journey for me, great explanation. And let's build on it and move on. Thank you very much once again.